This is the short film, The Day Herobrine Was Found, which is now available for you to watch at the Cow Studios official YouTube channel. Link in that corner thingy, link in the description. Go watch that and come back, because I'm going to be telling you all about how I made this and how I put together. This is all the shots that the film was made out of. Some things used like featured screenshots, clips, and I'll be going into how I made all these work. The thing I really care about is kind of the sound effect design. I have a horror atmosphere track, kind of spooky, creepy, but then I also have on top of it kind of creepy, eerie song, which is key. And then once we finish this, we have it. I have a sound effect for the glitch, which is a sound effect sped up. But then when it changes, it switches. I have a different horror sound effect and the song Excuse. I both found these because they're kind of eerie, unsettling. Again, I want to transition with Herobrine's modifications. I use this fading effect. Here's the voice acting section. And then one of my favorite shots, which is this, which is a quicked up version of the first half, and it has the same things, but like really sped up, and a clock. And it ends, and it's meant to symbolize the part of the story where a month passes. And then I continue up with this, and then I end with this horror sting that fades in and out as everything fades. So let's talk about the mods. I have Blockbuster mod installed, with a couple other things, and a resource pack that got the classic edition, kind of like old texture vibe. So I used like the original version of said mod to make this. So let's get into the worlds. So, you guys may be asking, wait a second, this doesn't look like the Herobrine World. That's because it isn't. This is the world I used for testing things out. I'm getting a hang of the mod, which you can see by here, and I have these scenes, this, which is like the initial test. You can see them right here. Like, I messed around, I solved it. All of this is actually very low, so I should probably turn up the render distance. But they move around and they run around, and they have a little fun there. Our test scene, which is Lookout Creeper. And this is where we get the mysterious entity skin I designed. Yay! So, here we go. It is nighttime. But you know, it's a creeper, player running away from creeper. The creeper was supposed to be giant, but it got messed up later on. We have Iron Golem and a skeleton, both of which were added into... which were added when I showed this to my nephew. So, I have tree removal, which I used this dummy actor for, and it was, I'm gonna place a bunch of leaves, and it was me trying to figure out how to do the scene where all the trees get removed. What? Why'd that happen again? I know I'm doing a video on a creepy horror film I put together. What? So we have this guy, he sits down, and he will make the tree disappear. Ba-ba! So this was me figuring out how to do that shot. I didn't want to mess up any trees in the actual world, so I tested that out here. And over here, we have the thing with the Herobrine sitting scene. And for the lighting, I used redstone torches. And here he is. Up, and then there's lightning, which should be right here. And I placed a hole so that it wouldn't set fire. And that is just how I did the scenes of Herobrine messing with stuff. But let's head into the actual world now, because I have a lot more to talk about. Okay, we're in the world. I have to host it to LAN to get the cheats to activate so I can access the scenes. But we have all the scenes that are used here, and all the sets. And with the render distance up, you could see basically every set. That's where we do the tree scene. That's the boat scene. Actually, the boat scene's put between those two sections because it gets cut off, which you can see. The starting scene is based over there. This is the classic Herobrine Hill. and then the house and its related scenes over there. And over there is where I did a couple scenes for the narration email shots. And so let's start in order of scene, and I'll talk about them. So we're going to start with the spawn scene, which has the player, and the player has to pick stuff up. So I have it. He goes to his tree, and this happens for a little while. Like, I did not skip out. I made sure the scenes would have been accurate, but I use a lot of editing and cutting and using different shots over here, and this does not show because of the way everything is set up. Render distance bugs out, so actors aren't seen if they're too far out of frame. So I wanted this guy to be in frame, but he also needed to see what this guy was doing. And the fog was very much here. This is me trying to angle the guy in a way that was far enough away that it was like ominous and hard to tell what he was. This is the skin I designed, by the way. Oh, sorry. I designed the skin specifically for this, and you might notice it's not Herobrine. There's a lore reason. Oh, sorry again. And so, here we go. And originally, he ran that way, but then we switched over here to make it make more sense from a shot perspective, so it wasn't just him running towards it. Here he is, Herobrine. Is this the right spot? I think he was technically more here, but whatever. You can see the shot. This chicken is fake. This is me acting. You can actually see a double shadow. Huh. But then they go there, and you can see the actors on load. It's a very simple scene. This scene is a bit simpler because it had to do with a earlier scene where he said, must have been my imagination, and then move on. That changed because I did not include any of the original voice lines outside of the email and original story. So here's one of my favorite set pieces. It's the house. I want it to look kind of early vanilla, but not too to the point that it wouldn't look good. And then if you go in, there's actually stuff here. This is, I'll show you later what that's for, but it wanted it to look, oh yeah, this guy is not very good at building, but he tries. And then here's the mine hut, although I don't think this part ever gets really featured. Like, we don't actually see this. Which is where the mining scene, which replaces in the original script a house building scene where Herobrine watches from the distance. So once again, the player is in, and I used, for the most part, a armor as a way to convey player progression. And so Herobrine, I'm just here. Herobrine digging was fun. So the original area of the scene is that Herobrine would come up and we'd actually watch him dig. I think I cut out a lot of this, like the Herobrine digging it part. And it does not even go that far. He does not go that far. Yeah, it's ends up to this point, and then he goes back. And then, to make sure I knew when to exit at the right time, I use this in this balcony to watch as my Herobrine character adjusts. Because I have to do it in a certain order. I have to play out with one character and do all the actions for that, and then I have to do another character and do their movements next. So, yeah, you want to see, I settle there, so my next version of me comes up, sees this, kind of investigates. I look around, I'm confused by what I'm seeing, looks around, blah blah, and then Herobrine teleports away, and I actually made him teleport away. Although it doesn't really matter as much. Here's a fun scene. The idea is that he teleports, and then he teleports here, and then most of the scene gets cut off, and this scene changed a bit because Minecraft's finicky. As you can see, this is where the world I downloaded cuts off and goes into monitoring for the version, which is 1.12.2. And so I built all the sand pyramids. And the original idea was I was going to swim through it. But every time I did, he would just end up over there and break. And as you can see, yep, I'm right there. But the idea was Herobrine builds pyramid and we watch it. And that has reason, just like the mining, but I cut off because it felt like it messed with the toning. But once that does, I come down here, and I spend so much time, getting a boat. But then, if you load those chunks for some reason, I think Blockbuster just broke when I tried to end it and crashed the certain world. So I had to get back in, and eventually I just switched it to me going along the ledge. And the original idea was that I was going to swim out through here, and then go out and hit another shore, which I did about here at this cutoff. See, here is where the original aiming of the camera shot would have been. It would have been kind of like this as he boats through, but that was changed. So I just pan over it from here. But there's a lot of sand pyramids for this scene, which I am very proud of. Herobrine tree. And I'll show you this in multiples. But basically, I spawn in, head up here, and then boom, all the trees in this area, which are basically everyone you see, disappear and despawn, and then once the scene ends, they'll be regenerated. But that was basically almost every tree in the shot, and it uses glitch and an animation. So if we look here, Herobrine's already pretty placed, he's sitting here, you're being wonderful, and then he glitches out, and then kind of huddles in pain. Which, once again, lore relevant, because all this is for my series core. But that's where the video ended, before I remembered that I had to add extra shots for female scenes. So if we head over there, there's the cave. This is the cave and ravine from one of the email shots. So let's go. So once again, I got this player skin off the world download. And so he goes in here, and then he sees Herobrine, and Herobrine goes into this tunnel, and we look in it, and this is the mysterious build. I went with like a mine tunnel kind of theme. Once again, buildings like this, lore relevant. Why Herobrine does that, that's lore relevant. These shots are actually out of order. It shows this scene, and then Herobrine's scene with the original script. But I didn't think about that, and we can have these as one independent scene. Now, I might be wondering, if you saw it, where exactly is the detail of all the characters from the directory? And here they are. Once again, all skins. I got off a skin website. I asked like 2010 skins, and I put them on poses that I thought were reflective of the designs. Here's the guy that he's canonically the emailer, but I don't think that's very prevalent or important. But, you know, he also has a broken skin, and we have the green screen, which I black out. Honestly, did not need it in hindsight, but you know what? I liked working with the green screen. And finally, for the second email, and then we have Herobrine here, and I had to do a lot of cuts and work between cuts. And here comes Notch. He's holding an apple in reference to golden apples. You know, Notch apples. And so they look at each other, and it's like this meant to be a wholesome scene, like, yay, we were brothers, we loved each other's company. And that was the original intent of the scene, and it's very ominous. Anyway, guys, hope you guys enjoyed hearing me talk about working on my short film. Give it some love. I enjoyed working on it for like 10 hours plus. And it is the beginning of a lot of stuff I'm doing on with Cowl Studios, my company. We are telling some stories there, and you will eventually see the series of this short film that is connected to Core, and it is very much based upon these classic myths and creepypasta urban legends, and it's alongside some reference to there's Rainbow Quest and Steve Saga and all that. So if you guys enjoy that, well, I think you'll enjoy that. Make sense? Cool. Bye!